Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed my recent meditation. I'm going to give a talk on mindfulness and well-being, but it will only be a short talk. It's been a beautiful day today, hasn't it? And because the weather's so nice, it obviously, here in the UK at least, and maybe in a few more countries around the world, it will have had a positive effect on well-being. And they say we all need more vitamin D for our physical health as well as our mental health. I started off the day listening to one of my favourite pieces of music by Vivaldi, and we've all heard of the Four Seasons, but one I particularly like, that is an aria, is Nulla e mondo pax sunt sera. There is no peace in the world, but the object of being mindful is to try and create an inner peace and project the idea of peace within and create that ripple effect of causing peace and happiness without, in a seriously bad world that is kind of led by profit margins, unscrupulous goings on across the internet, etc., and a lack of sincerity and commitment and integrity values are changing. I think, though, people do not need to nitpick as much anymore, and that's a positive. We can be mindful without actually picking people up or calling them out, but it's still the same on some forums, isn't it? Even though people try and control it, they can't, and so sometimes people are led by the common mass in the interests of what they feel is democracy, but it's not that at all, I don't think, in my honest opinion. It's good that we've got a movement towards authenticity, which breaks away from the idea of being repressed by unscrupulous figures of authority, whoever they might be, and they can be across the board, whatever opinion they express. The will to power is the same in a lot of people with that kind of young approach to the world, which I listened to someone talk about in a series of excellent workshops recently, so that was good, and it united me globally with someone I or a group of people even that I just would have had no awareness of before. I think we have to be authentic, but what we need most of all is balance, and it's obviously an unbalanced world conflict-wise out there. It's caused by too much aggression and an ignorance, really, of the concept of compassion. Compassion goes out of the window in a conflict situation, as we see. Yeah, and it's all about different nations fighting for their own national pride, and whatever political opinion they profess to have, it's all gung-ho, isn't it? Right across the world, because both extremes meet in the middle, don't they? So what we need is a balance, in my considered opinion. And we're not nitpicking anybody or calling anybody out for bad behaviour now, are we? But yet, if I feel that if certain people that are more authentic or maybe more courageous than others speak out against mass conformity at the expense of authenticity, they can get trodden down, which is ironic in a society which tends to promote authenticity across the media and the idea of everyone being unique. Something that might offend is squashed because it might offend a larger group or a group with money. So we're all being repressed, whether we know it or not. But the positive is, at least, you know, when I was growing up, I was pretty much anxiety fueled, everything mattered, and keeping up appearances and all that kind of thing, it's the opposite way round now, but so that's a positive. But we need balance, we need something in the middle, so we need to have a bit of self-awareness and definitely self-respect. We shouldn't be forced into having self-respect just because we happen not to be kind of maybe above the average or whatever. That's not good. So whilst growing up in a society which was a lot more straight-laced is kind of over the top, because things like that shouldn't matter. Personality and being good to your fellow human beings should matter more than little things, minutiae of detail. Like in that respect, we should be more bothered about our common humanity, but we also should not lose our sense of value and perfectionism. That's my philosophy. I've been a kind of amateur philosopher for many years now, and I probably would call myself more of a philosopher now, because you don't need any particular allegiance or membership. Even though I belong to various organisations, you don't need membership of any collective organisation to be your own philosopher. And that's my idea for the future, to sort of create that unique personal stamp of authenticity, which prevents, the more people did that, the more oppression and conflict would be prevented or preventable. And that's a safe philosophy. So with that, obviously not everyone is that has a particularly philosophical bent. Some people have a more practical bent. And the way they could get around this, multiple intelligences, and the education of children is improving. We've got educational establishments based on the ideas of Maria Montessori, which advocates multiple intelligence and freedom to be creative in children, who are our future. So in a negative world, there's still plenty of positives if you look and search, and that's absolutely fantastic. If that was going to be expounded upon in the future, it would help create a system where people the world over would not have to rely on cheap scams just to survive. And these people that scam people or hack them, they basically lack ethics, don't they? They might not be intrinsically bad, but the ethics is overlooked for basic survival. And we've had a better world. There would be a standard set of welfare principles across the world, which in the future I hope will occur. Otherwise we're going to make ourselves extinct. So we need to start early and promote creativity and individuality in kids and make them feel happy whatever their ability, because whatever their academic ability, that they're going to have skills that are practical, that are good, and every kid is good at something, no matter what stands in the way for them. And for instance, my mum wasn't academic at all, but she passed her driving test first time at 17, and she's still got that kind of earthy common sense within, even though she can't express herself due to vascular dementia. She's still aware, but it's all held in because she can't really get the words out. Obviously she'll have changed, but there is awareness, and people, you need to hold on to that sense of humanity, because and respect for people whatever their condition, because once we lose compassion, we lose a sense of humanity to our fellow human beings. So on that note, I want to promote my channel as a place of mindfulness, inspiration, creativity and spontaneous song, and compassion, which I am, via my biz card. I'm a compassionate mentor. But isn't it nice just to sort of be straightforward in life and just maybe not use even as long a word as compassion, and just dwell on a simple human quality and this basic concept of being nice, which is also what my channel is about. And a lot of time people don't appreciate nice people and they try to bring them down. You'll have, for instance, people with far less life experience think they know it all, and I don't feel old yet, but I'm not ageist at all. And they might not deliberately want to be unpleasant, but as the saying goes by Thomas Gray, "'tis folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss," and that's what's happening. And unless you balance your passivity and wish to please others with authenticity, you're going to be lost in today's society. It's not it's much more dog eat dog, and we got out of the dog eat dog world of Victorian values a long time ago, so we don't want to go backwards, which is when you've got money and power in the wrong hands, that's exactly what's going to happen. So there's a lot of good young people out there, but they've been misled, and sometimes they think they have a right to have power and money, because really they've been indoctrinated by a generation or 2 generations above them, but they have been indoctrinated by the wrong people, and they lack that emotional intelligence which the generation above, they were kind of brought up in an atmosphere of judgmental morality. Okay. So we don't want that, do we? We want balance in the world, but what denies people their balance is because they are not well in themselves. They perhaps don't exercise enough. They don't, that there is always something. They may not have a healthy sense of well-being, but because their nutritional balance is not correct. So ways to mindful well-being comprise of healthy, balanced diet, walking in nature, which I did today, and I'm going for an evening walk a little later on before it becomes dark, because it was a beautiful day where I was. Observing nature also helps with mindful well-being, and this is cross-cultural because we all share a love of nature, and if we're honest, whatever our belief system or identity or place in the world. And another way, I was talking about multiple intelligences, so another way of being happy when you don't always have the economic means to be happy is to indulge in a favourite hobby, be it practical or more educational, whatever. A lot of my friends are practical hobbies which wouldn't be second nature to me, whereas I like to journal and be creative and discuss things, each to their own. And obviously we need a certain amount of solitude to be happy, and we get that through mindful meditation, walking. So we don't have to be exercising madly. Just a half-hour walk in nature or in good weather is enough. But you know, some people want the moment of solitude indoors in a darker, quieter space to write poems or poetry, whatever takes their boat, floats their boat. And we can actually develop unique hobbies that less people have, which we all have that potential. A depressed person won't realise their unique strengths and the fact that they do have that potential. Another way of relieving stress is gardening for the more practically minded. Quite honestly, I've got a right wildlife haven at the back of my house at the moment. But I had trouble with the back door for absolutely ages, so I can be forgiven somewhat, but now's the time to improve. But I've still got beautiful flowers outside my back door. And some other stuff which wasn't strictly speaking down to me, which obviously I can clearly forgive. But that's I cleared that a few months ago too, but it was a bit of a nightmare at the time. So gardening for those who are practically orientated, or fishing and stuff like that, and for me, or for maybe a large percentage of the population, whatever their ability, reading, and not just reading non-fiction, which I have done for quite a long time. All through COVID, all I ever read was non-fiction, and I did read a few maybe, but it's always nice to balance a love of facts with a need to escape from a seriously war-torn world, and the idea of fantasy fiction or anything which is verisimilitude, which is more positive, helps a lot of people. Verisimilitude means close to life but not the same. Maybe a bit more positivity is needed in our selection of reading matter. So it could be Huckleberry Finn, or The Prisoner of Zenda, or you know, all these kind of books are gender neutral, so men and women alike can enjoy them. For me, it was Huckleberry Finn, and also some other pieces of fiction, such as Sorrow, pieces of fiction that not everyone will have heard about today. So, you know, that's what floated my boat. Robert Louis Stevenson and Robinson Crusoe and all those kind of things. There's a need to escape, isn't there, in what we read for pleasure, and we don't have to be sitting reading newspapers all the time. Another concept is, so we've gone through walking, a balanced lifestyle, time. We do need time for creativity and work and play in equal amounts. We need to, as well as having a place of solitude, we need to connect with other human beings, because we are a gregarious species, so need to be sociable and have friends, even if it's only a few friends. Life wouldn't be the same without close friends who know us well. And most people like the idea of family, or people who represent family, that kind of special connection in life. And I've already mentioned the idea of being happy, whether it's through singing, drawing, etc. So, out of all these things, I think the important thing to learn is balance, because diets need to be balanced, because some things we eat are intrinsically bad, and we also need to balance our work and play, our sense of solitude, and our social connections and sense of compassion towards other human beings with a sense of self-compassion. So there we have it. A healthy body, a healthy mind, and a healthy spirit. And by a healthy spirit, I mean some kind of belief in a higher purpose, or something higher than themselves, and something which gives meaning to life, regardless of religion. It could be a belief system, but it has to actually refresh the soul. And for some people, religion refreshes their soul. For others, it's spirituality and nature. So there's several steps to well-being: exercise, being in nature, hobbies, reading, even if it's something straightforward as a short story from a magazine, or if you're not able to read, you obviously need to develop something tactile, such as gardening, or creative arts. And the idea of being your authentic self in a society which seems to increasingly limit freedom, if the wrong people hold sway. It's not their fault, it's how they've been brought up. And there is a positive side to any narcissist, as I've learned recently. So it's a bit about what I hope to promote through mindful awareness. And I think if I continue to talk, I won't be getting anything out of the fine weather out there. So, on that note, I say bye for now. BFN.